know how to crack nuts, dude.
There is... Okay, dude, did you watch that Instagram reel I sent in the group chat about the guy at Chipotle?
Yeah, I was laughing so hard at that.
It was the funniest one. We might have to start the episode here because I was crying laughing. There's a bunch of those where people will go into Chipotle and fuck with the workers, but the guy was like... I just want some beans, no meat. And the guy's like, all right. And he's like, but none of those beans. I just want the bean juice. And then the guy's like, excuse me. He's like, get less of those beans in there, just the bean juice. So the guy's just putting all this like liquid in there. And he's like, what else do you want? And he was like, a scoop of sour cream. And the guy's like, what the fuck? And then he's like,
both the salsas with like watery.
Yeah, he got the sauces on top of the bean juice. And the guy's like, can I get another tortilla to fold this? He's like, nah, too much carbs. And then they go to take the tinfoil to put it around it. And he goes, no, too much tinfoil. It's cracking me up. And then he goes outside and he's like, hey, you guys want this burrito? They just gave it to me for free. And the guy's like, oh, for sure, man. Like, I appreciate that. And he films the guy taking it out about to eat it. It looks so fucked up.
We can keep all that in, but we do got to clap.
True.
Clap here.
True.
3.
Oh,
2,
wait.
1.
3,
2, 1.
Perfect. Only want the bean juice.
Yeah, and then the part that was cracking me up too is when he's leaving. He's like, "Hey, you guys want this free burrito? They just gave me a free burrito."
Some of those guys
like
there's
a high
no
schooler.
Way. Yeah, so funny.
But let's get down to brass tacks.
Let's talk about some real food.
How is baby corn made?
Chris, I think he said he's going to look it up. My interpretation of baby corn was just that it was premature corn in the fetile stages.
That is correct.
That they pluck from the vine.
That is correct. It doesn't make sense to me that you can eat the cob, and I don't understand that it would just grow like that to begin with. It feels like it would. I don't know.
Did you picture?
It feels like the girth should always start the same, and then it just grows longer. But I guess.
How would that? How would that be?
I guess it grows wide and long.
That'd be like if a baby started off as wide as a normal man, and then it only got taller.
That's valid. It's valid. Let's just read a little bit on baby corn.
Yeah.
Planting. Farmers grow normal corn plants, often varieties that produce small, tender ears.
Tender ears.
It's planted like sweet corn. And then, it's basically, whoa. Baby corn is picked very young, usually 2 to 4 days after the silk.
No Epstein shit.
At this stage, the ears are small, about 4 to 10 centimeters. Before fertilization, and then it still has a husk that has to be removed. And then commonly stored in canned, can be pickled, also can be sold fresh. Mm-hmm. Why it's eaten whole? Because it's harvested so early, the entire cob is soft. So you can eat the whole thing, unlike mature corn where the cob is tough. Learn something new every day.
You do.
Each corn plant can produce multiple baby corn ears. So they often harvest several per plant.
I guess I've never thought about that. I guess I would have assumed there would be about 3 corns per stalk. That seems like the right number.
Yeah, I think it's about 3 or 4.
When they're growing baby corn, though,
sometimes.
is the stalk only like a foot tall?
Well, they just do it early. I don't know how long the stalk is.
Is the stalk still like full height, though, and the corn's just like little baby ones still?
It's probably just short, I would imagine. It's probably just not that tall.
Like a foot tall?
Yeah.
Damn.
That's funny.
Those poor farmers.
Because
if you get put on the baby corn assignment, you're having back issues for a while.
It was like, do you want to know why it's popular in a lot of Asian cuisines? And I said yes, and it was like, texture is king. Many Asian dishes prioritize contrast. Crunchy plus soft plus saucy in the same bite.
Oh, the corn is so smart.
It is the perfect thing in a stir fry. That's why I started thinking about this, is because I bought baby corn last week for my stir fry.
When I went to BD's Mongolian Barbecue, which I have been to many, unfortunately they just shut down all of their locations. But every time I would go there, I would only fill up my bowl with like the steak, the lobster, and baby corn. That's all I would get.
That's it?
Yeah, man.
No noodles?
No noodles.
Steak, lobster, baby corn?
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
It was the perfect diet.
That fucking guy whipping up your shit was probably just very confused.
Dude, they probably had the hardest time. No, I would get some like teriyaki sauce, but you know how like when they're smacking it around the spatulas, flipping it up in the air, they probably have such a hard time with the baby corn. Like you can't cut that, and it's probably so hard to keep it in the right spot because it's like little cylinders that could so easily just roll off the grill.
Yeah, 100%. Well, anyways, episode 34.
34, big episode. An unfortunate episode, some might say.
Yeah, we are starting off here with the butt waters. As you can tell, we promised you guys last episode, so we're following up on the draft.
Yeah, but don't let this get in the way of you guys subscribing, liking the video, getting your grandparents to subscribe, playing us on your TV. I know nobody wants to see two grown men drink these on a Tuesday evening, but we're doing it for you guys, and if anything, this should incentivize you to support us more.
Exactly. Get us out of the butt water. Get us out the mud. This is basically mud water.
Mud water, butt water, cut water.
I did go with espresso martini flavor.
Almost the worst variety, I would have to imagine, of butt waters.
I've had this before. This one's pretty good.
I'm not going to try it just yet because I'm very scared. But Chris, can you tell the people what we'll be talking about today?
Yeah, today we got, oh man, let me think. So we got
quite a few topics, and they're all straight off Chris's, straight off the dome.
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Let me pull up my handy dandy notepad so I don't forget anything.
Chris put in a lot of work. I didn't have anything this week. Nothing was jumping off to me, and Chris came with like 6 unrelated bangers.
Not to forget though, Joe Day coming soon. Joe Day probably next week, maybe week after. We gotta iron that out. Joe's gonna plan a whole day for those that don't remember.
To give you guys a little sneak peek, I think I have like the 3 main things kind of ironed down. I want to still one-on-one Chris in basketball, but he has to let me win. He can put up a fight, but I have to win at the end. And then I want to go to Oakland Mall with him. We can do a little vlog-style shopping trip. If you guys haven't been to Oakland Mall, incredibly bizarre stores. I don't know what I'll purchase from there, but it would be something cool. And then for the actual episode that we record, I want to make Chris have to describe to me why the Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Well, it's my day.
Yeah. So hopefully Chris gets his day next year. But today we're going to be talking about homeless drug addicts, Scientology speed runs, Drake's Iceman promo. Potentially, we might skip that one.
Might scratch that.
And the dark side of extreme home makeover.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all, like Joe said, a lot of times he carries with some topics, as you guys could imagine. It's usually the ones that are of a higher intelligence, and mine are usually something out there in left field. So
it's me just describing to Chris like the fundamental physics of space for 30 minutes while he's staring at me, and then Chris's episode, he's like, dude, these fucking guys are eating babies and people are speed running in their houses.
So
before we get into that though, like Chris said, we're drinking the butt waters. The draft night, tumultuous night. I wouldn't say it was necessarily. I mean, it was a good night. It was a fine night. Repercussions were to be had the next morning.
Bad taps.
Bad taps at CJ Mahoney's. Dude. I'm not going to host CJ Mahoney's. Feel free to sponsor us, CJ's. We, all 4 of us, ate and drank different things, and we all woke up feeling like hell.
Yeah, and I had like 2 beers. It wasn't like a hangover. It was like my body's shutting down right now. Yeah.
Two things of draft cleanup, though, and Chris, you can say anything if you want about the Lions, but Steelers, well, first things first, obviously, we got sniped. We got lemon-mogged in the first round. The Eagles traded up right in front of and
get lemon-mogged.
Took my sweet baby boy right in front of my own very eyes.
Yeah, that was hard to watch. Literally from before the draft started, Joe was talking about Mekhi Lemon, and then watching, like, sitting right next to him. I actually recorded it, but, like, I was a little late because you knew that they took him when the Eagles traded, so I kind of missed that part, but I started recording right when the Eagles traded up. And it was just hard to watch Joe all night be like Marissa, if Mekhi is there, like, that's going to make my whole night. That's all we need. It's going to be a great night. And then, like,
could have had him.
I forget, was it Miami that was right before you? Who was
Dallas, which they traded with their division rivals.
Yeah.
To give them a star wide receiver.
Tough watch.
Horrible. And Omar Khan was on the phone with Mekhi telling him that he was going to draft him.
Right.
And then he was like, wait, why is Philly calling me? That was ass. And then in the 6th round, we drafted a guy named Gabe Rubio. I don't know if you guys know about consensus big boards. They're normally pretty accurate. The draft has about 240 players drafted, and this guy was 600 on the consensus big board. We could have had more than 2 full drafts, and he wouldn't have gotten drafted. So, pretty unique move there.
Yeah.
We drafted 2 white wide receivers, so now half of our receiving core is white guys.
Yeah.
So, a lot of interesting football moves being made by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Just a quick wrap up for the Lions. I like what they did. They took the 2 positions I want with their best pick, so, like, I'm happy with that. Part of me wanted Reuben Bain. Thought he fell a little further than I thought he was, but I'm happy with Derek Moore.
Short arms. That's all you gotta say, dude. And he killed a guy.
But I like our 2 picks, and I think that later in the draft, the only thing I didn't love was trading out of the 5th round for Kendrick Law, who
he's a good receiver.
Don't really need a receiver. People were calling him Fumbles McGee. Some Alabama fans were calling him Fumbles McGee, which I learned that I wanted Caden Proctor, and Alabama fans hate him.
Everybody hates him. John Gruden hates him.
Apparently, he holds a ton, a lot of penalties, and he makes those lowlights are like you're watching your quarterback get killed.
Right.
So. Ended up not being as upset, and to see where Miami took him, I was like, all right, if they're gonna do that, that's fine. And you just kind of take the best available. I know Joe was a little confused with his soccer player that they drafted in the 1st round.
No, he is good. I'm pumped for Maxi Hanachor. That guy's gonna be a monster. He was the guy when he got drafted. His dad's full ass was out on the screen. He just went right in front of him. His pants were sagging down to his knees, and his full ass was out.
Yeah, so it's another standard draft.
Good draft.
I mean, it was fun, but yeah, none of our players got picked, so we got the ball water. How do you like it?
It's actually not bad. It tastes like chocolate milk, which scares me. I don't like it.
Do you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember those PBRs in college? They were just like coffee. They were just PBR coffees.
I didn't drink those.
Those were good, dude, and I kind of missed them. I sold them in 4-packs. I'd always get them if I was really hungover or about to play golf. And these taste just like them, but these are triple the percentage as those.
Damn.
So
I never had those.
Is insane.
Do you remember my old move when we would already be having a long night, and then I would take us to the liquor store and I'd buy a 6-pack of Dragon's Milk? It'd be like nightcap, and it was a 15% beer after I was already blacked out.
Yeah, but there were some questionable things going on back in the day. We do have to recap eventually.
Yeah, full story episode. CJ Mahoney's, though, bad taps. We all woke up feeling like shit. We're driving to work the next day. I was considering not going to work. Me and Marissa moseyed our way on up there. I finally get up to my desk and I log in. And as soon as I log in, somebody behind me is talking to me about the draft. And I get a call from Marissa, and she never really calls me like that after she drops me off. So obviously I'm a little worried. I pick up the phone, and she's like screaming and very upset, and I can hear some other girl screaming at her, and she's like, somebody just hit me in your parking lot. And I was like, what the fuck? And my manager said he literally saw me get up from my desk, sprint out, and sprint across the parking lot. And he at first, some other people told me, they're like, is that Joe out there? Because they saw my head sprinting across the window. But I pull up, and I guess the lady was being a huge bitch. To give you guys a rundown, this doesn't even make sense, but Marissa was just driving normally through a parking lot on the right side, as you do, and this lady blew a stop sign and was next to her, on the what you would call, I guess, the left lane on the parking lot, but side by side with Marissa, and then decided she was gonna park in a spot on the other side of Marissa's car. So while Marissa's car was very obviously right next to her, she just took a right-hand turn and just clipped the back of Marissa's car.
So they're going the same way. They weren't going opposite ways.
They were side by side, but the difference is Marissa was on the right side of where she should have been.
Yeah.
And the lady gets out, and Marissa's kind of funny like this. She's kind of like a shit talker, but Marissa goes, not to be mean, but literally, what were you doing? Which fair, it's such a questionable move. Why would you do that? And they were both freaking out on each other. But as soon as I got out there, the lady cooled off, and she was like, oh, oh, I'm sorry. But she was on the phone with the cops, and she was like,
Marissa or the other lady?
The other lady. And she was trying to get the cops up here. And which I was like, well, fair. I mean, yeah, I would love the cops game because this is obviously your fault. But she was telling Marissa, she was like, you were speeding. They have cameras all here. They can see you're speeding. And Marissa was like, I was speeding to get away from you. You were next to me and pulling into my car.
Yeah.
And Marissa literally told her, if I didn't speed, you would have T-boned me.
Right.
But the cops apparently said they couldn't come because it was private property, because it was in a parking lot. I've never heard of that. Isn't that a little weird? Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah, I think it is, because I've heard about that happening in drive-thrus before. If it happens on a private property, they don't.
Whoa,
that's not their deal.
So
if it happens on a main road, they'll come.
So what does insurance do about that? Was there damage?
Yeah, dude, it was a little paint scratch on Marissa's back bumper, and if you make any insurance claim, your rates go up. Wasn't even worth it. We'll just buffer that shit out, and it doesn't really matter.
Damn.
But I guess if you need insurance, you should have went up there, filed a police report, and so insurance could have went off that. I decided like that wasn't worth. I went up to Marissa's car. I asked the other lady. I was like, "Is your car damaged?" She goes, "No." I go up to Marissa's car. It's a little paint, and like I put
Yeah.
my thumb on it, and some of it came off. I was like,
Yeah.
"This is not a big deal."
Yeah.
And then they were both looking at me. I haven't had a car in 6 years, and I've also never been into an accident. And they're like, "Oh my god, like what, like." Like, what are we going to do if the cops aren't coming? And I was like, I guess we just exchange insurance. And they were like, all right, cool. And they're like, well, what do we like exchange? I was like, I don't fucking know. Just take pictures of each other's cards or something. I don't know what to do.
Right.
And then, so they're going through that process. And this was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. They're both doing that and both incredibly pissed. And I was still kind of like half drunk, half hungover. And I go, TGIF, am I right? And they both just looked up, and I thought they were gonna team together and kill me.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? This kind of reminded me of when I was at my last job. You know that parking lot that's right by Yard House, but it's kind of on the side that's by like the Jersey Mike's and stuff. Like if you go that way, like there's a Condados right there. I was like basically parked in front of that Condados. Super tight parking lot. Like you can barely fit 2 cars through there, but I parked right there. And I was backing out, didn't see a car coming, backed into a car. And the guy gets out, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, man. It's all my fault. I was like, I'm so sorry. And he gets out, and he just looks at me, and then I was like, do you got any damage? And he looks at his car. He goes, no. He's like, you got anything? I go, no. He goes, have a great day, man. Like, I'm not worried about this. I was like, thank you so much. Like, that's best case scenario.
Yeah. I mean, if there's no damage, some people are like bitches. I guess I did actually technically get in one accident when I was like 16 where it was kind of raining out and I couldn't stop in time. But it was like I was on M59, but it was the slightest. My front bumper just touched their back bumper. And I see a 70-year-old grandma get out and she instantly was like, oh. And like talking about her neck hurting, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And she pulled over onto the sidewalk, and this was back when I had like my first girlfriend. I look at her, and I was like, "Should I just drive away?" And she was like, "No, you have to pull over." I was like, "Dude, she's already off the road. I could just get out of here right now." But yeah, I pulled over, and I don't even know. Like, I forget exactly because I know we didn't exchange insurance, but she like gave me her business card, and it was like piano instructor Evelyn something. And I was like, okay, well, you can't even contact me. What was even the point of this? But she was trying to pull some shit about her neck hurting.
Dude, that reminds me of in Chicago when we were at Formal. Did I ever tell you this? Was when I took basically I took a date who learned she wasn't getting into nursing school when we were on the 4-hour, 5-hour car ride to Chicago.
Yeah.
That was not a fun car ride. I also had another couple in the car with me. And it was just a very stressful ride, you could say. I was the driver. We get to Chicago, and my date's yelling at me because I didn't drop them off at the door. I was going to park and walk with everybody. And I get in this parking lot that was probably like 0.3 miles away, like a little bit away from the place. But it was like just a lot that you would park in Chicago to like whatever it costs. But it was a packed parking lot. And you know how those are? Like, I think Detroit during a tailgate, like you're in one of those tight lots where all the cars are super close together. And I like didn't quite get in the spot the first time I tried to pull in. So I had to like do one of those like reverse and then go back in. And when I reversed, I like hit a car, and I was in college, and I was like, I'm not paying for this. And I just like drove and parked in another spot and then just parked. And the whole rest of the entire trip, it was like, how are you going to do this to somebody? Like, I cannot believe you would do that. And I was like, all right, it's their fault for putting this parking lot too close. And like at the end of the day, I'm in college. I have like $10 to my name. I cannot pay anybody $500 for a dent in their car. So like swerve around, park somewhere else. They're like, yeah, they have cameras, blah, blah, blah. If you got hit in Chicago back in 2020-ish maybe, 2021, sorry, but
we got money now. Chris
out
is
there.
fully financially responsible.
We out there.
Top dog law. If your car got hit in Chicago. Dude, also shout out Top Dog Law. Did we ever talk about that?
No.
Their newest commercial I told you about.
No,
did I even tell you about that one?
I know you're a huge fan.
Dude, they have all those commercials like, if you got hit on your bicycle, call Top Dog Law, and they're always sick. But then they had their latest one. There's a rap beat that starts going, and it's the same guy, and he's like, I've seen the tweets. I've seen the Facebook posts. People are talking shit about these Top Dog Law commercials. You're not going to be talking shit when you get hit by a car. I was like, dude, you cannot do that.
Yeah.
You can't put that evil on somebody.
Those law commercials are insane, bro.
Top Dog Law is the GOAT, dude.
Insane.
We need to get sponsored by them.
Yeah, that would be a great sponsor. If anybody's watching and wants to sponsor us, we're looking for a new sponsor.
Yeah.
We are definitely looking for a sponsor.
Speaking of Detroit sponsors, drug addicts.
Drug addicts, government, sponsoring drug addicts, many things, many topics. So I basically went down a rabbit hole. Shout out Tyler Oliveira. Really good YouTube channel. And he's catching a lot of hype right now, I guess you could say. Like, all of his videos are doing great. And he's putting out great content. So
yeah.
I found a video. I forget what it's titled, but he basically goes to Detroit and just interviews crackheads for like an hour.
He doesn't just go to Detroit. He goes to like the worst parts in Detroit.
That's
where
the thing
your
that people don't
parents told you not
understand.
to
If
go.
you're not from Detroit and you're watching this video, if you're in the city of Detroit, relatively safe. On the outskirts, crackheads and drug addicts and like gangs and stuff.
Third world country.
But if you're inside Detroit, dope. It's cool. The drinks at bars are $15. It can't be a bad place if it's like that. So if you're on the outskirts, though, crack is $3, and drinks are probably $1. So
Pussy's $1.
that's true. She said 15, maybe. I think
No,
she said
the
20.
guy was like, "You're selling for $15," and she was like, "Don't lie, it's 60."
But basically, I put Joe on to this video, and I watch a lot more, so we're gonna talk about just more than the Detroit one. But I guess let's break down the Detroit one first.
The best.
He was on Linwood, which Linwood's like probably the worst area you could go.
Philadelphia Street.
To explain a little bit, he he goes all over, right? So I'll also talk about how he went to Philly.
7 Mile.
He went San Fran. Yeah, he goes all over Detroit, but he all of his videos are different. He even goes to like harass the people that are like doing pickpocketing in like Paris and like all these other places. I watched one where he went to New Jersey because Jews are doing welfare fraud, and like they have a whole city that they're all getting free housing, and he's interviewing them because of it. So like,
this guy's just on everyone's ass.
oh yeah, but it's honestly like, I like it because it doesn't seem like he has an agenda. It doesn't seem like he goes to these places and he's like, I want to make it better, or I want to like expose or like exploit these people. He literally interviews both sides. He doesn't give a fuck about
any of these places. He's doing this for the money, strictly. But
yeah.
in the byproduct of it is we get a great view of
of what it's really like in these cities and what's really happening in our country. So,
dude, this gave me a whole new perspective.
It's crazy.
I think in my mind sometimes that we're so close to utopia, and then I see that and I'm like, we are so far from God.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
It's crazy how we can. It feels like there's no way anything near that was happening. Like, could have even remotely
we are 20
happened
minutes
in like the
from
60s.
That. Right now, we are 20 minutes
Not
from
even
that
probably
video.
10, probably 15.
Bro, like a great encapsulation of this video, or like a summary of this, is if you guys have watched a single episode of the podcast or ever talked to me, this is exactly what I picture when I'm thinking of Detroit.
Yeah, Joe's. I always say scared of Detroit, but
I am, and this video confirmed those fears.
But like I said, that's on the outskirts, and that's like, honestly, it's like Oak Park almost. But,
well, the one guy was saying, he was like, I don't give a fuck. I'll go to the burbs right now and I'll rob you. And he's like, you worked hard for that shit? Fuck that. I need that shit. And I was like, dude.
Yeah.
Now I'm scared about people pulling up to the creek.
Basically in the Detroit video, he just goes to a gas station, and it's definitely not a good area. And then when he first gets there, there's like 3 crackheads or like 3, and most of the people in Detroit, I will say, were doing crack. I didn't see a lot of fentanyl users in Detroit.
It was all crack and heroin.
Yeah. So he goes there and he's interviewing a couple of them, and then like the interviews are just hilarious. I can't even really explain it.
It's not. None of it is an interview. Everyone is either coherent ramblings of somebody that's on
mumbling,
crack, or it's just some dude throwing up gang signs talking about, my name's gonna live forever. I'll kill somebody if I need to. Fuck y'all. I just did 33 years for killing my best friend. Dude, that one guy, it was so funny. He was like, When I was 17, my uncle gave me a kilo of coke and $1 million, and I killed my best friend, and I got locked up for life. R.I.P. And then he was like, "You killed him."
Yeah,
He said R.I.P. But
Yeah.
he was like, "You're the one that did it."
Yeah, it's so funny. And he really doesn't ask him. Like, he honestly goes up to all these people and he's like,
He just puts a mic in front of their face.
yeah, he's like, so what are you doing today?
Yeah.
Or what do you have to say?
None of them had anything good to say.
Yeah, it's all absurd. And then he has this one guy, I think his name was Rocco. And this guy's just constantly
He's a
knocking. Yeah, he was a rapper, and I think the Rocco was showing him around. Also, I forgot
that was like his whole squad. He owned all those properties,
right? And they go around to all these trap houses, and they get to like walk through the trap houses, and there's people just passed out in there.
Those weren't even trap houses. So guy Rocco,
you know what I mean? Just like a
the slums. Like he owned, I think you said like 4 or 5 properties, and they all looked like shitty kind of motels, I guess, and he would just rent them out. He said it was funny. He was like, if I can tell you got a little bit of money, $500 a month. If you're a crackhead, $300 a month. And then they would go in there, and he would look around at some of the vacant ones, and the guy was poking around. He's like, yeah, there's some needles, there's some caps, like that's human shit. Like every one of those places, it was like human shit, human piss, needles, guns, all this shit.
Yeah, it was.
And he was like, you'll just let people openly do drugs in here? And he was like, yeah, as long as they got their money in.
Right. He really didn't care. And like, yeah, I don't know. So that was the bulk of it. What I thought was funny is he goes like, he kind of does that. And I think he went back to the gas station the next day or something. And then there was a crowd. So people started realizing this guy was giving people $5 for an interview. And all of a sudden there's like 20 people at this gas station. You remember the cops drove by and that one guy like is having a tick where he's just like skipping around screaming the whole time
when he heard the sirens.
Yeah.
The cops actually did pull up on him. He tried shutting it down, and
that was the crazy thing to me is like the cops pull up and there's literally, I would imagine it would have been very easy to arrest somebody for doing drugs.
Every single person there.
Every single person. What did the cop care about? The guy recording.
Well, that's what he was saying. He was like, I can vaguely see where the cops are coming from, though, because if he wasn't there, those crackheads would probably just be like in an alley kind of chilling. But they were all drawn to like moths to a flame, dude.
But it's legal. It's legal to go film in a public area.
I know it's legal, and it's illegal to do drugs. One of the things I do kind of agree with, though, it's not like you can't just like arrest all these people. Like, it's such a burden on the taxpayers, and they're just gonna go back out, start doing drugs, and like, so it probably is for the best if people just going in there causing a ruckus.
Yeah.
But he was interviewing a bunch of people. One of my favorite ones, he was standing around like 10 crackheads, and he goes, all right, raise your hand if you're a crackhead. And everybody else raised their hand, but one guy in the corner goes, I'm not a crackhead, I got a crack body.
My whole body on crack.
Yeah.
And then the guy like behind the crowd is like, we're all crackheads, man. Like, we're all crackheads.
Yeah. But
and then it's funny because like people will be like, oh, I haven't done crack. I don't really do it anymore. And then he'd be like, when's the last time you did it? And he's like, they'll be like, yesterday.
Yeah, it's such a problem. And then the one lady is following him back up to his car, and he's like, I gotta go. And she's like, you never gave me the $5 for my interview. He's like, I already did. I can see it in your hand.
Yeah.
And then she's like knocking on his window, and he's like, look, all right.
What are you going to use
my
it
boy
for?
Right there? Yeah, he's like, what are you going to use it for? And she's like, I'll go get a hot and ready. And he's like, my boy right there will go buy you a hot and ready if you go with him right now. And she like leans in and she goes, I'm trying to buy weed.
Yeah, like immediately falls back on it.
Yeah.
So I mean that was mainly Detroit. At the very end they do the housing part where he meets with a guy trying to rebuild the city in a neighborhood that was bad that they're rebuilding houses in.
All those places are so crazy to see. They're getting sold for like $5,000 for good reason, though.
Yeah, I mean, you have to tear it down.
The guy was saying, I bought this property for $5,000. We invested $200,000, but the first time I was here, there was some girl giving head on the back. There was a drive-by shooting in front of this one while I was renovating it. Somebody tried breaking into it. They'll siphon off power if you don't shut it off. Like,
I thought that was crazy too. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
And then some guy drives by and he's like, I like what you're doing, but you got to include the people that you're kicking out. And that's what Joe and I were talking about a little bit.
This is where we'll have to be a little bit careful, but we both think if you're anti-gentrification, you're retarded.
Yeah, it's sort of, people are going to find where they need to live. People are going to be able to find places they can afford. And I don't think that building one nice house in a bad neighborhood is going to raise everyone else's house by $500 a month. You're still living in a shitty house down the road. So, like...
But they act like making these areas better off just because it's white people is bad.
Yeah.
And that's the part that pisses me off because I'm seeing all these clips of people with guns, people doing drugs, people selling their body, which one thing we forgot to mention, this guy pulls up, a lot of the girls there were selling their body, and the guy goes up to the one, and that was the girl that said, no, I don't do 15, we do $60 or whatever, and then he goes, if you put your dick in that, you're ruined.
Yeah, dude, we didn't even mention Rocco, like, during the course of this episode, this guy knocks out 3 people.
Yeah, dude. So he knocks out 2 people before that. And then my favorite one is they pull up to this one guy that's selling drugs on the street. And the Tyler guy, he goes, are you addicted to heroin? And the guy goes, no. And Rocco goes, yes, you are, bitch. Don't lie to him. If you lie to him one more time, I'm going to knock your ass out. And then Rocco's like in the dude's face. And the cameraman's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Like, we don't need to knock anybody else out. And he's like, tell him you do heroin. And the guy was like, all right, I do heroin. It was crazy. But back to the main point. Not trying to make some deep point here, but when you see how bad it is there, and then you see this dude that's fixing up houses, investing into the city, making things better off, and getting decent citizens in there, and everybody's like, you can't forget about the people that are here when all the people that are there are just the worst. It's like, what the fuck? How could you be against this?
Yeah, I agree. Now... It was cool to see it in your city. It's cool to see it when it's 10 minutes away. I went down a rabbit hole. I think that was...
How was that cool?
I mean, it's just cool to know what's out there. We would never know what it's truly like at a gas station on Linwood.
I know in my mind's eye. That's exactly what I pictured.
And then also, I will say, like, I think crack addicts are way more lit than fentanyl addicts. Like they're having way better time. Like they're way more active. Yeah.
I don't know if I want an active drug addict.
They're not fent bending around all over the place. So I think Joe, mainly you just watched the Detroit one, right?
I only watched that one. And then before we get to the other ones, I did watch like a Vice documentary on Detroit, which I don't like Vice. I did kind of get interested in it though. But this is another part that I think is really stupid because the whole thing was centered around everybody's like saying Detroit's back, and it was like trying to showcase that, and they're just like making gardens in like abandoned warehouses, or like making a skate park in like a parking lot, and they're like, see, this is just how the community's coming together, and I think the city's really coming back. That shit's so stupid to me. You need to like pump money and get businesses to want to get jobs here. That shit's not going to change anything.
Right.
You need people to be able to work that are there. Like, that is making no difference.
Yep.
One more crazy thing that I heard in that Vice article, though, or in that documentary, I have no idea if this is true. It wasn't Vice, though, so blame Vice, not me. The guy on there said that back in the day, 8 Mile used to be a physical wall that they built to keep out black people.
No way.
That's what he said. He said that it was like a divide, and black people were not allowed to live past 8 Mile. And then once they could, that's when all like the businesses left. And he said when the first black person got an assembly job, like an automotive company, 20,000 people quit their jobs on the like assembly line, and it was during World War II. And the official stance of like the union or whatever was, I'd rather lose to Hitler than work next to a black guy.
That is crazy.
That all could be fake, but if that is true, that's crazy.
It seems Vice seems like the company that would put out Detroit propaganda.
Yeah, they definitely could have just
made
all that.
That video was probably made this year, and they're like spewing fake nonsense from the 50s or something.
Yeah, if that is true though, that's fucking crazy. That is crazy.
That's why Eminem. Let's go, Eminem.
He reversed. Yeah, he went over the wall as a white.
So.
Eminem gentrified, What the fuck's wrong with this guy?
So the other videos that I watched a lot of them. We're going to get into Scientology a little bit, but the ones I want to focus on are, I was actually watching one. He did one in Flint. And by the way, this guy gets,
Flintstone.
He was in Beecher. You know where Beecher is? It's like just north of Flint, I guess. It's like 5 minutes north.
No, but it sounds like it's got to be a hellhole.
Oh, it was so funny. They like met like, oh, everyone calls this guy Granddaddy, and he worked at the plant for 50 years and like whatever. But
Granddaddy.
But I'm not going to talk about the Flint one. What I'm going to talk about is there's a Philly one, and then there was one in San Francisco, and they also cover like Oakland. I also watched one that was about Murder Mountain in California, which is like, I won't go into depth about that one. We'll focus on the other ones, but Murder Mountain is basically about how in California, before weed was legalized, there was a bunch of, farms or whatever you call them, where they grow weed. And then when it became legalized, and it was like all ran by the cartel, they called it like the Emerald Triangle, like Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
And people would flock in there, even from like Germany, and like all these immigrants, and like all these people would come there for jobs to like trim trees and make money. And
Germans in the cartel.
And what would happen, it's called Murder Mountain because all these people would come there for a job. They get promised X amount for pay. They would work for 6 months. The cartel would not pay them. They would push back on not being paid, and then the cartel would be like, oh, you want to get upset with us? We're just going to throw you off a cliff, or we're just going to like push you into the woods because we're 500 miles away from anybody.
Yeah.
And then
it's a pretty good move by the cartel.
All of these plantations, or whatever you call them, got basically wiped out when weed was legalized because they couldn't keep up with the prices. So that was a cool one that I watched, but there was two that I want to talk about today that are kind of, I guess, similar to Detroit. Detroit's not lined up with drug addicts, though. Like, if you're downtown, if you're in a populated, I should say it's not a populated city. Like, all the people that he went to are, like, probably 10 to 15 miles outside of downtown Detroit. And they're, like...
Not miles, no.
I mean, I drive home, so it's
we're closer.
I'll call it 7 miles. It's 13 miles from Detroit to where I live, and one time I took Woodward all the way down. I drove by the gas station that was in the video, and
really?
it's about 7 miles away from downtown. And
that makes sense.
It's about
on 7 miles,
and
that's a good call.
And
they named it well.
So it's not like in the city. Now in San Francisco and in Philly, these are happening in the city downtown on a main street, like in Oakland or in San Fran, like in downtown. So what's happening there, though?
Properly gentrified.
At least they're not downtown. I mean, there's a few of them. They got rid of the bus station by my job because there's too many drug addicts there, but.
Yeah, you gotta take away all the poor people shit to the poor people get. No, that was a joke, but I do think if you're gonna gentrify, you gotta do it in the right way.
So,
Midtown, Corktown, downtown Detroit, I think did it in the right way. Yeah. I can be in downtown Detroit and feel safe. Yeah. I wouldn't go to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I wouldn't even consider going to Philly. There's no reason for anyone to go to Philadelphia.
Remember that picture? I think it was after they won the Super Bowl of that dude he climbed the lamp pole and he just had the world's smallest penis.
Yeah.
That's what you see in Philly.
Yeah, Philly is another planet.
It's full of bad news, dude.
But basically he goes to these other places, and these two videos are very similar. The Philly one to San Fran were both very similar, so it's kind of going to get wrapped in one. But here's what I wanted to bring up to Joe. So in both places, this is true for both. It is like you'll turn a corner and there are 50 homeless people that are leaning over. You can't even tell if they're alive. They're laying on the ground. They are like injecting on the street. They are like, the Tyler Oliveira video shows, like, apparently there's supposed to be some respect for when a mom or a family with their kid is walking by and they say, hey, kid coming through, apparently you're not supposed to inject when that's happening. You're
good on them.
Or whatever.
At least they have some respect.
But in the video, he's literally injecting while it's happening. But it's basically a zombie land in both of these places in a downtown city. And the part I found very fascinating that I didn't know about before watching these Dude, one ball water gets me feeling nice, bro. Isn't it crazy?
Should we call it work tomorrow?
Yeah.
We'll splash around in the creek for 12 hours.
So, long story short, these cities have more fentanyl use, and they call it trank. They call it like rhino something, like rhino
I don't even
trank.
understand what fent is because they're like, dude, one sniff of fent can fucking kill you. That I hear that all the time, but apparently these drug addicts
Well, they use
are
it in the
just
hospital too.
They're
They use
injecting.
fentanyl in the hospital.
What is it? Is it like a painkiller? Is it like
I guess it's
meth?
a painkiller. It's super addictive.
Haven't you heard that though? Because like you hear that where it's like you can't do coke anymore because one tiny speck of fentanyl can kill you.
The drug
but then,
addicts,
like all these drug addicts are like injecting a pound of fent into their veins.
yeah, the drug addicts call it a hug from God.
Damn,
And
dude. Let's take a little trip into this.
Episode
I'm driving
40.
10 minutes.
Episode 40.
The boys do fent. The boys get a hug from God.
But here's what I will say is we knew somebody, not going to dox, in college that was trying to buy a different drug and accidentally got laced. And
I don't think it was that fent.
yeah,
Oh.
and the description that I received was
I'll say it. It was Pat.
it was it was like 100 orgasms all at one time, which I couldn't even imagine. But the person that it happened to, mind you, they overdosed. They had to go to the hospital. They had to get Narcan. They were in the hospital for like 8 hours. It was a whole ordeal. They said afterwards, I understand why people get addicted to this. I understand why it's like the most addicting drug on the market. And
To this
like,
day, Pat does it every
it's-
weekend. It's a real problem.
It's terrifying, but they were
Makes
very
sense.
they kind of understood why. So
Yeah.
here's the main question or things I wanted to talk about is both of these cities in San
Would I
Fran
do
and
fent?
Philly.
Yes. It's a good question, and the answer is yes.
Both of these cities have two things. They have what's called safe injection sites, and they have harm reduction.
What the fuck is a safe? I'm already pissed. What is that?
So
I know what it is, but go ahead and explain it.
a safe injection site is, think about it as a building where drug addicts that are homeless can go, and they get free needles, free spoons, free lighters, free tinfoil.
I'm actually
and
gonna
allowed
get
to
pissed.
use there.
I'm gonna get pissed, and I'm gonna become severely anti-lib if we keep talking about this.
So they're allowed.
This is what the Democrats
to use
want
there.
your money to go towards. Oh no, we gotta support these guys. They're going through a tough time.
So there's many
I just
schools of
sounded-
thought. There's many schools.
Nope.
There's many. So that's the first thing I want to bring up. So the video that Tyler, the guy we've been talking about, posted, he like
I'm
sneaks.
so pissed.
It's so funny because he like acts. He doesn't even act like he's like gonna go use it. He just like stands in line to go inside, and then they let him inside, and he's just like filming, and they're like, "Are you not gonna do drugs?" And he's like, "No." And then
They
like,
let you do the drugs inside.
yeah, it's a building, and it's think about
They
it
don't
as
just give you the supplies.
about it
They
as-
provide you a safe haven to do
yeah.
the drugs.
Think about it as 20 cubicles,
You should.
and it was all full.
That building should get exploded.
So
and anybody who thought that was a good idea should get shot in the head.
so I'll give my thoughts in a little bit. So there's that, and then also there's buildings that are like, think of it more as a stop and go. It's like a little store. It's just a window that people come up to, where they give you needles and whatever you need to do drugs.
So this is
all government
I'm assuming
funded.
it's a government funded. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
all government funded, and the
I no longer think of myself as any older than a fly. Joe Biden did this, and you guys voted. Some people voted for this.
So those are the two things. And like, I'll say the one school of thought is that if they're already drug addicts, they're going to do it anyways. Might as well not give them AIDS. Might as well be
Why?
because these.
Why is that better than
these
them?
safe injection sites are essentially they have Narcan on site. So if you overdose, you
Perfect.
can
So we can
keep them
prop them
alive.
back up and keep them going, so they can live to do drugs the next day.
Exactly. So like the theory, and then they also they offer like what would you call it, like treatment options.
I'm sure
or,
everybody's
like,
going into
whatever.
the treatment option room when you
The
have
fascinating
cubicles with
thing
vent in the next room.
after watching like 10 of his videos and probably 10 hours of drug addict interviews over the last week, the most interesting thing I found is he asks a lot of them, like, do you want to be out here? And they all say yes.
Yes, they all love it.
Yeah, they're like,
They all think it's the sickest thing.
I don't want to do anything else. This is where I want to be. I don't want to go anywhere else. It would be nice.
It would be nice to not go to
No
work.
responsibilities, dude.
$5 to get hugged by God.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sounds pretty nice.
And it was so funny. One of the people he interviewed, this was in Philly. He interviews this lady, and he's like, so do you take any precautions so like you don't get anything stolen from you, like when you do this, and like if you're passed out or anything? And she's like, yeah, I never do it at night, and I never do it where like I'm around a lot of people so that they could, like, what happens all the time is apparently they do drugs. They're doing the fent bent that we've talked about, where you're just bent over, frozen, and apparently the other drug addicts will just rob them when they're like that. And right after he gets done interviewing her, it's at night. And right after he gets done interviewing her, she does fent and she's passed out. And it literally looks like someone's about to rob her. And it's like, how did you just say this is the only
dude, that's the worst part.
About.
It's comical. It's the funniest thing of all time, but it's also the saddest thing of all time.
It's very sad.
One thing I forgot from the Detroit one, probably that made me the saddest, there were some girls standing outside that was dressed like an absolute whore, which she was a whore. And she was clearly selling her body, and he goes up to interview her, and he's like, what are you doing? Like, how much would it cost to hang out with you? And he was like, or she was like, at first, she was like, no, I'm just out here supporting my daughter. I'm supporting my kids, blah, blah. And he was like, how much would it cost to hang out with you? And she was like, just drinks. I just want to drink and get drunk. And he was like, so no money? And she was like, no. That, like, made me so sad.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
You think they're telling the truth? You think when's the last time you think they talked to their daughter? Those are my questions.
Well, either way, it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah.
Dude, like, I mean, you could make some sort of an excuse as like a valiant effort if that was the only way that you could get money to support your family. Like, I could make some semblance of an argument there, but like, she was like, no, I just want to get drunk. Like, you're not out here for anybody.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm on Joe's side with all this, but the argument for the opposition, because here on Thinking Beers we're gonna say both sides, but
no, we're not.
The argument for the opposition,
we're white beasts here,
is that you keep them alive long enough so that eventually they can make the decision to get better.
Never will.
I don't know if it happens. It's
got to be like
there
less than 1%.
There was one interview that stood out to me. He was interviewing older lady in a wheelchair who had kids, and this one kind of stood out to me too, where, you know, at first he starts the interview and he's not even he like I said, he doesn't try to persuade these people to get better. He doesn't try to do anything. He just asks them, like, how'd you get here?
In front of their face.
How'd you get here? Whatever.
And they all love talking.
Yeah, oh yeah. And this older lady who's in a like motorized wheelchair, she's fully like leaned over and can't even like hold her head up. And she basically was like, you know, I have a family and I have people I haven't talked to in 10 years. I've been here since I was 15 years old, and my mom used to be out here, so I just wanted to see what she was doing. And I was 16. I came out here. I never went back. And and
now they're trying to gentrify this neighborhood.
And he just talks to her, and eventually, like, you know, 5 questions later, she's like, "You didn't even push me to be better, but I want to get clean now." And maybe she's lying, maybe whatever. But
no. I also too like
short.
We love saying long story short. we gotta cut that out. But I love it how too everybody they're all so willing to talk. It blows my mind because they know there's gonna be no repercussions. Like, I guarantee if you showed one of these videos to law enforcement, they're not gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna try and do anything close to arresting these people. They're like, yeah, I mean, you know, they're in a bad area, and like if we catch them doing something really bad, maybe we'll go after them. But
so that's what he interviews because cops will drive by. Like in the Philly video, cops were driving by. Cops stopped there for something for a different reason. And he interviews the cops and he's like, hey, is doing fentanyl in Philadelphia illegal? And they'll be like, yes. And he'll be like, so what do you think about these 20 people right here that are doing it in front of you? And he's like, I can't do anything about that. Like, I literally can't do anything about that.
It's something we might have to look into more, but in the one video, the cop was saying nobody will prosecute them.
Right.
I can arrest the guy, take him to court. They're not going to get prosecuted. They'll just get let back out into the street because they're going to say that they need counseling.
Yeah. So, very fascinating. My take on the whole, we didn't even say our side, we just said the other side, but my take on the whole,
I said my side.
on the whole safe injection site is that,
Dumb
to
as
me,
shit.
I don't understand how, I said this to my girlfriend yesterday, having a place where you can legally, I won't say legally, you can do illegal drugs with no repercussions that is government funded is essentially like a movie theater for people who want to watch child pornography, or it is like a house that you can murder people in where there's just people that watch and make sure that the bodies get taken care of safely. So
No, it's honestly, it's worse than that because the bad people that are in there doing bad things don't die.
yeah, so
My take on it is more severe than yours. I think that they should set something like that up so that the drug addicts come in and anybody who thinks that that's okay goes in there, and when they go in the cubicle, they get shot in the head.
I mean, that's pretty much a wrap on that. There's one last topic aside from drug addicts. Is there anything else you want to say on?
No, I've made my stance clear, and I don't want to get canceled. So let's get into extreme home makeover.
Well, hold on. So he also posted a Scientology video.
Oh yeah.
Which I do want to give.
We're skipping like 2 topics ahead.
I
Let's
do-
just make this a long episode.
All right.
What time are we at?
53 minutes.
Let's make it a long
I
episode.
knew it was gonna be long. We were like, is it gonna be long enough?
Let's make it an hour 20-minute episode.
And this Scientology part is gonna be short, but
Give
the
it.
part-
Can
the
you
part
give
with
us
the-
like a little? Okay, so I'm vaguely familiar. I know there's levels to Scientology. You basically have to pay your way through to advance to the levels, and supposedly, like the further you level up, the more truths to the universe you get. Right?
yes. And I told Joe before this, we're gonna have an episode in the future where I dive
What a
into
bore.
Scientology. We're gonna have an episode where I fully dive in and I fully explain the corrupt religion that Scientology is. I got very invested when I visited my dad in Clearwater, which is where their Sea Org is, which is their most infamous
The Sea
building.
Org?
Yeah, it's like where like the elites of Scientology get to go. And like I said, we'll talk more about Scientology as a whole. But he made a video on it. He interviews people. Basically I don't know if it's the president or like the main person in Scientology.
No way he interviewed them.
Well,
Really?
he gets people that escaped.
Oh,
And they have, I don't know if it's the president, but it's basically like the main speaker of all of Scientology is David Miscavige. And his
what? What was his last name?
David Miscavige. Not
Miscavige?
Miscavige.
I worked with a guy named, his last name was Miscavige. It sounds like
Yeah, maybe.
that can't
But
be that common.
so anyways, in David Miscavige's it's his niece. Yeah, it's his niece because it's her uncle. So
that tracks.
she escaped, and she is a whistleblower on Scientology. And this happened all in like the last year. There's a lot of famous people. Tom Cruise is in Scientology.
Yeah. That's why I have some skepticism towards whistleblowers or people that escaped, because it feels like they're powerful enough to silence you if you get out.
That's what we'll talk about. This is a teaser for a future episode. We'll talk about all the things Scientology does to silence you when you get out of there. They hire private investigators. They torture your life. They tell your family never to talk to you again. They do a lot of shit. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about Scientology speed runs.
They're like, yo, Chris is kind of gay.
I was gonna
heard.
wait.
I don't know if I'd fuck with him anymore.
I was gonna
Leave
wait.
Scientology.
I was gonna wait to talk about Scientology as a whole, and then I wrote it down in the notes to remind myself, and then this week, like very, like as right now, is happening a ton. I wouldn't be surprised if Scientology shuts down in a couple weeks, because if this keeps going at the rate that it is, I don't think that Scientology can keep hiding what they're hiding and like getting away with what they're doing. But essentially, all these teenagers are watching guys like Tyler's videos of him talking about it, and they're starting to be aware of it. And you know, the younger generation is just wild these days. They do whatever they like. Scientology doesn't let you in unless you're seriously considered joining. They won't even let you in the doors.
This is the part that kind of confuses me, because does Scientology operate like, do they have like Masonic temples, like where you can like visibly see like, okay, this is like a church of Scientology?
Once you're in Scientology, Joe, you live there, you work for them for $1 an hour, and you never leave. You never go home. You never talk to your family. You never escape.
No, I'm just saying, like, how do these people that are breaking into these like Scientology facilities, like, do they have identification markers on these buildings?
Oh, you've never seen the Scientology buildings?
No.
You have to Google it after this. It says Scientology in huge letters on the buildings.
Okay.
There's
I
one
don't know why I thought that they
there's
would
one
operate.
in Detroit.
Really?
In Clearwater's their main hub, where
I figured they would be operating
in
in
a big
almost
one
like
in LA. There's
very discreet buildings.
No. They're very. I guess they have big signs that say Scientology. The one in LA is a big blue building. It says Scientology huge, and they use a cross. They have a cross.
That's another part that confuses me. Is this religious?
Yes, but it's supposed to be science-based religion.
Right. That's why I kind of confuse them. Is it like, do they believe in God or a God? Or
Joe, we're gonna talk about this
in
a future episode. But what's happening right now?
Breaking into
what's
buildings.
happening right now is that people are realizing that's a hoax. That it's a
might not be though. You
whatever.
Don't know that.
I do know.
You don't know that.
But kids are like starting to like learn about this, and like teenagers are like. Basically, if you were to walk into a Scientology building and they have any inkling that you're just joking or just recording or like whatever, they'll kick you out right away. And these like teenagers are gathering in groups of like 20 people, and then they all go in at the same time, and then they just run through the building. But you got to understand that their buildings are like hotels.
They're storming the Capitol.
Yeah, that's like what it looks like. And they're just running around. They're filming everything. And then all the Scientology people are like these little queebs that are trying to like block doorways. And like then there's all these like dudes in balaclavas.
That's our sacred room.
There's all these guys in like balaclavas and ski masks just running around.
You can't go in there unless you're a level 4.
Yeah. And
it's like a Pokemon gym.
Yeah. And
you haven't beat the first boss yet.
This room hasn't been unlocked yet.
That would be sick if it was like Pokemon, where they had like different bosses guarding different rooms.
It's what it feels like from watching these videos. But yeah, so there's really nothing has come from it. I just find it very fascinating that like you can't really prosecute a group of 20 guys that barge into a building, run around, have masks on, and then leave in 5 minutes. But eventually they're going to find something. Eventually they're going to find some crazy shit. And like I said, we'll talk about it more. Maybe I'll do it even next episode just because it's front of mind, like a good topic to talk about right now. But lastly,
I do really want to hear about this.
Extreme Home Makeover.
I really want to hear about this.
So everybody
all watched
knows
it.
The show. We all watched it. I watched this every week with my family. Growing up, it was like gather on the couch, watch it with the fam.
Obviously, you came from an HGTV home.
Some little homie had cancer, and their family gets a new house because of it. So
that's not. I don't remember that. I don't remember it being a Make-A-Wish.
You know how those shows work. They always pick the families that are like something's like. There's a reason they pick that family. Yeah, you know they're struggling.
Son has a cleft palate, and my wife has an A cup. I need a new crib.
So we all know Extreme Home Makeover and how it works. Apparently a documentary just came out called The Dark Side of Extreme Home Makeover. Now, I didn't watch the documentary. I got the Cliff Notes, and I got the basics from it from TikTok and from other sources.
Oh, yeah.
I was a big fan of Extreme Home Makeover, and I remember these little houses that would almost be like, call it 2,000 square feet or like 1,500 square feet.
Good house.
Like a small house. Everything was falling apart. They would have like mold in there. They'd have like a family of 5 in like 2 bedrooms.
It was on Lewiston Ave in Ferndale.
The daughter
one
would
Asian vaguely guy, one kind of black guy.
The daughter would always have cancer.
Yeah,
and like
the daughter would always have cancer.
And like they would basically take.
The dad always worked in the coal mines.
Yeah.
He was always covered in like soot.
Yeah.
He would come home in like jeans and a flannel, and his face would be like pitch black. And he's like, "Just got home from the mines. I just want to give my family a better life."
Yeah, and then
And
the
they're
wife
like,
would be
"We're
like,
gonna build you a fucking multi-level mansion."
the
you
wife would be
fucking
like,
idiot."
I made tuna sandwiches for everybody for dinner.
Mhm.
And then
My son's been eating one
what's that
grape
guy's
for
name?
lunch
The
for
guy's
the
name
last
was
20
like
years.
Ty Pendleton or Ty Pendleton.
That is the most like regal name I've
You
ever
remember
heard.
him though? He had like super spiky hair.
Yeah. Well, dude, back then, if
was
you
like-
didn't
it
have
was like
a
a-
pound of gel in your hair a day, you could not remodel a house.
It was like Ryan Seacrest on crack is what the host looked like of that show.
Yeah. That was a
And
qualification,
then they would
though.
go, move that bus. And then their small trailer park house would turn into a mansion. And it would have an
Yeah.
aquarium and dinosaurs.
It
and
is
like
weird that fit
a
behind
pool.
a bus.
I think the people were just standing close enough to the bus where they couldn't see it.
How the fuck
But
did
I
that-
always wondered how they got there. Like, are they
How did that livable treehouse fit behind that bus?
So essentially, they turned these small houses, tore them all down. Every single time I watched it, I think they tore the whole entire house down and just completely rebuilt it.
Yeah. For the
I
most
don't
part.
think it was like remodels. I think it was like demo, rebuild, mansion.
Yeah.
Like it was like tripling, quadrupling in size of what they had before.
That quick side note, that show would always kind of make me feel bad because imagine if you spent your whole life saving up to buy a house and you bought a house and you were like, all right, like, you know, this is the biggest purchase I've ever made. I'm feeling pretty good about this. Obviously, I could use something better. And then you win this sweepstakes and they're like, we're going to remodel your whole house. Don't worry, we got you. And you're like, sounds awesome. And then they just start filming your whole house and they're like, this is a piece of shit. These cabinets are fucked. This foundation's horrible. Everything about this is the worst.
Yeah.
We need to completely dismantle this and start from the ground up because whoever lives here is the worst.
Yeah.
That would make me sad.
Yeah. So to get to the point, all these people
Long story.
had shitty houses, and Extreme Home Makeover came in. Tyler Pendleton or whatever that guy's name was came in, rebuilt his house,
Sir Tyler Pendleton. He was mad.
and they got a beautiful house. It was a mansion. Every time it was a mansion. Every time they had an
jacuzzi.
aquarium, a
Oh,
jacuzzi, a
boozy.
pool, a movie theater, whatever the kid liked dinosaurs. All of a sudden they're in the jungle in their room. Like it was
Kid
dinosaurs
played
all
golf
over.
for 1 week.
5 holes in the backyard.
Yeah.
And it was like insane. So
Kid plays basketball. LeBron James lives there.
and what this whole documentary is about
fuck was that?
is the dark side of Extreme Home Makeover. So a lot of times they would post the video and they would be like, we're going to cover the mortgage for the year, or like, we're going to cover the mortgage on this brand new mansion.
1 year of your 20-year mortgage.
So let's even say they're going to cover the whole entire mortgage. They're going to pay for this whole entire house. What they didn't say, what all this people are talking about in the documentary, is that they didn't pay for any of the utilities. They didn't pay for any of the bills, and they didn't pay for any of the property taxes. So these people went from paying, let's call it $2,000 a month for a mortgage, and then all of a sudden, they have an aquarium they have to pay for. They have a movie theater. They have all these lights.
Water.
They have them 20, 50 times the amount of lights that they have.
$10,000 a month for shark bait.
Yeah,
for
they have
their
to pay for
aquarium.
the pool, and they're paying all these bills. And these people were literally saying, like, my electric bill was more than my mortgage was before they got here.
That is so crazy to me.
And then they would say, imagine the property tax on something that big in that much like space and like that type of
That's
house.
something I actually didn't understand. So your property taxes go based on square footage. They don't just go based on land that you own.
I have to look it up. I don't know.
I thought property taxes just go based on land you own, but it is fucking. You always hear that on Mojo in the morning, which we fucking hate.
Yeah,
fuck
fuck
Mojo in the
Mojo.
morning, but they always do those car giveaways, and it's like do you want a 2025 Ford Escape?
It's
or
based
do you
off how
want
much your property is valued at.
Gotcha. That's crazy.
So if you live in a trailer park, it's valued at,
That's so
50
dumb.
grand. If you live in a fucking
Yeah, but you know how like they always do those
mansion,
car
it's
giveaways.
500,000, and then all of a sudden your property taxes fucking. That's what people were saying is like all of a sudden you're getting hit with a $50,000 property tax.
Right. So like you know how they do those car giveaways though, and it'll be like, you want a brand new car or do you want the cash? And everybody that chose the cash, I was like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
But it makes sense because
Yeah.
your insurance is going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
And like it repairs
Yeah.
too, like all that. You don't think about all the exterior shit that goes into it. So that one kind of makes sense, but what is the other thing?
This one, I think you're going to laugh. So what people failed to realize is that on the show, they talk about what city it's in, where they're at. They also reveal the whole entire house. They also move that bus, and they show the address. They show the entire layout of the entire house.
No. Were people breaking in?
These people on the documentary were saying that their houses were getting broken into like 3 to 4 times a month.
Are you serious?
Yes. And people would come in and they'd be like, I knew exactly where everything was at. I knew exactly what to do. This goes back to our Tyler Oliveira videos. I'm going to go to the burbs. Yeah, I know exactly what that guy's house looks like. I know exactly what I can take. I know exactly where it's going to be at. I know exactly how to get there.
Where that saltwater aquarium full of designer sharks is filled.
And people were literally saying like, yeah, my house got robbed like all the time because people knew exactly where I lived, exactly what I had, exactly what was inside.
That's crazy.
So,
dude, not in that same vein, but I heard, the Breaking Bad house, I've heard nobody lives there anymore because it was the same thing. Some family tried living there and they just couldn't stand everybody like crawling around their property.
Yeah.
But that's like, I mean, obviously the show's much smaller, but that's a way more extreme example where they're like, we just souped this place up to be nice as fuck. Like, here's the address. Feel free to drop by and take whatever you want. Like,
and I don't remember, but they weren't like, it's not like, obviously you're not going to nice neighborhoods. You're going to like sketchy areas to like do this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, probably not sketchy, but like, it's probably like in the middle ground where they're probably like 10 minutes from a big city where those dudes that were showing it on Tyler Rivera were like, all right, I see you.
Yeah, bro. Insane.
All right, before we wrap up, what was the last topic we were going to talk about? Not the Drake thing, but the other thing.
Yours or
no, yours
or mine?
Kids on leashes. We're gonna wrap. This is gonna be a long episode, but I'm not leaving this episode before I hear what Chris wanted to talk about with this.
All I wanted to say is I just wanted to ask you because I don't know. Right, you're closer to having kids than I am. And all I wanted to ask is, like, when you're in a public area, let's say Joe said he's never going to Disneyland, but let's say you go to Cedar Point, or let's say you go to a SEC football game, or let's say you go to a...
not taking my kids in SEC. No,
let's say you go to the
taking
Grand
my kid to
Prix.
Disneyland, but I'm taking my kids to go see Arkansas versus...
Basically, I wanted to ask, and, this is a hot topic. Kids on leashes. Are you okay with it? Would you ever do it?
I would never. I would absolutely never. I think that's the most bullshit thing that you could do to a kid. And I think that every kid that's gonna grow up on a leash is gonna be mentally fucked up.
Well, the first thing I'll say, and I'm not for leashes. I'm also against leashes, but I like playing devil's advocate.
Anti-leash.
It's not like a leash around their neck.
I don't care where. I'm not saying that.
It's not like
I know
it's not like it's gonna
are.
like tug on them.
It's either on their wrist or it's on their backpack.
Right. So like, and they can be stretchy.
What's
the
point of that?
They can be like 20-foot long leashes.
If you can tell me why that's a good idea.
Well,
maybe
the videos I were watching were the people that have them. A lot of times we're in like amusement parks or crowded areas or crowded events, you could say.
Right. So if I go to a crowded area, I'm just gonna forget where my seed's at.
Well, it's not that. It's not that. Like, it was, to be honest with you, it was the families that have kids with like autism or
Well, okay, if my kid is like Down syndrome, I'll probably handcuff him to my wrist. But like if I have dude, people do this with normal functioning kids.
I get that, but there's families that maybe they don't even have issues, but kids that are like, this one mom was like, my kid's a runner. Ever since he was born, he just likes to run. He just runs everywhere.
And black.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And they like show a clip of the kid, and he's just like sprinting across the field. But
obviously, the black kid's fast.
Basically, like,
you got to prepare for that if you're going to be a black parent.
I think of it as you're in a crowded event. You're whatever that could be, a concert, amusement park. Those are the only two things I can really think of. But you're at an event like that. You're at Disneyland, and your kid's there. And he's a kid that is notorious for running away. And there's kids that exist that are just always like trying to ditch whatever situation they're in. So like,
yeah, but I would just catch them. You're telling me a toddler's faster than me?
Is like, okay, so the thing is like, yes, you could catch one kid, but what if you're worried about two other kids, and then your kid that's the oldest of the bunch that actually can walk, and you're not like have strapped to you? What if they just bolt off? All it takes is them to run for 1 minute to the right side, and you can't, like, you have a kid strapped to your chest, and then they bolt off to the right side, and then somebody else swoops them up. They put them in a van. They're off.
That's how he's gone. Shouldn't have ran, bitch. I got two now. My grocery bill just got a little less expensive. Now I have
I don't want to do that.
I have bad memories because. Not for me, but when I was a kid, in my youth basketball league, it was called Future Stars. I was very good at Future Stars. My team went undefeated my 8th grade year. It was like a, like pre-high school kind of league.
Yeah.
And it was like for all the kids that didn't make like their middle school or elementary school teams. I don't even know if there is like elementary school basketball teams.
Yeah.
But it was that big, like not that good.
Yeah.
But just to provide you like a little testament to that, I was our starting center, and we went undefeated.
Okay.
And I was averaging probably 3 points a game. But there was a team called the rope team, and their coach made them walk around, follow him. He was holding one end of the rope, and then the worst player was holding the back end of the rope, and he would yell at them if they let go of the rope. And we always made fun of the rope team, obviously. It has psychological ramifications, and I don't think that you should be doing that. But I'm about to piss my pants. This episode was a fucking banger. Let's go. Episode 34. Ahmad Bradshaw, I believe, was up number 34. But love you guys. It was a hell of an episode. Chris, send us off.
Yeah, cheers. We're going to have a little dead silence. I'm going to put Joe on a rope while he goes piss. Worry about that music.